What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Two Game Podcast, where I am continuing the review series of Daredevil Born Again. I have already reviewed the first 5 episodes of this season, and I am here to recap and review episode 6. So if you have not seen the first 6 episodes, I highly recommend pausing this video and then coming back once you have caught up, because there will be spoilers from this point forward. So let's go ahead and recap episode 5, titled With Interest. On St. Patrick's Day, Matt goes to New York Mutual Bank to discuss a loan for his law firm. His application is denied by the assistant bank manager, Yusuf Khan, who was part of the Miss Marvel TV show, Miss Marvel's dad. His application was denied because of the firm's penchant for taking on clients who cannot afford to pay. After Matt leaves, a group of criminals led by Devlin enter the bank and take everyone hostage. They work for Luca and are attempting to steal the $1.8 million he needs to pay to Victor. Murdock hears them and returns to the bank. When the police arrive, Devlin talks with the hostage. Matt hears them and then returns to the bank. And when the police arrive, Devlin talks with the hostage negotiator, Detective Angie Kim. Matt takes out 2 of the robbers while Khan stalls for time at the bank vault. Matt opens the vault and they find a rare diamond which the robbers are targeting. Matt pretends to give the diamond to Devlin as the police enter the bank. Devlin gives the parcel to an accomplice among the hostages, who later realizes that she does not have the diamond. Devlin disguises himself as a police officer and leaves, but is caught and absolutely devastated by Matt. Later, Matt secretly returns the diamond and accepts an offer to have dinner with Khan's family, and that's the close of the episode. Overall, I thought this episode was really good, but it also has its faults. And to me, this episode ultimately feels like one of those just like side adventure episodes, kind of like a bottle episode, so to speak, where this really doesn't affect the overall story too much, but it's a nice little deviation from the main storyline that feels very comic booky to me. Like it looks like one of those instances where, okay, this is like a little side adventure and it doesn't really pertain to the whole storyline a little bit. So I'm okay with that. And the 2 big criticisms that I have with this particular episode is, one, is it feels tonally different from not only the first 4 episodes from Born Again, but also the first 3 seasons of the Netflix series. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't enjoy the little change of pace, although with that being said, the typical issues that I have with Marvel kind of come to head here. Shout out to that. And it's specifically the introduction of humor. Now, there have been moments throughout Daredevil, the series, that there have been comedic moments, for sure. Like, I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that there hasn't been humor woven through this series once before. But it seems like we took a completely different tone shift here that introduced a lot more humor than we're used to. And I think a lot of that had to do with the introduction of Yusuf Khan, Miss Marvel's dad. Now, let me be clear. I think Yusuf Khan is one of the brighter spots in this episode. I really did enjoy that he was included in this episode. Just personally, I think there's some moments in this episode where it didn't really call for any humor, but they introduced the humor and it fell kind of flat for me. But that's just Marvel in general. So that's just a huge nitpick that I have with the MCU at large. Is just the humor is just very much misplaced. So tonally, it feels different than all the episodes before it. That's my first big complaint. My second complaint would be the fact that everything in this episode within the bank, when we have the hostages, we have the Irishman, we have Matt, Khan, all that stuff is good. Despite the fact that there's some humor in there that kind of fell flat for me. I loved all the stuff within the bank. When they went away from the bank and they deviated from that plot and went to this Detective Kim character and the police, that's really where the episode kind of felt the flattest to me. I just really thought the Detective Kim stuff was fairly bad overall. I really didn't like her character. And the whole tell me a joke thing that was going on in this episode, I legitimately was thinking to myself, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what? Like, this does not feel anything like the show. And that's really the lowest point of the episode to me, is not only that part, but just all of the Detective Kim stuff. And to me, while I enjoyed the overall episode, this side adventure feel to it, I didn't care about that stuff outside of the bank involving the police. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that none of those characters were compelling whatsoever. Like, it would have been nice, I don't know, maybe to introduce or bring back a character of the police that we have known for 3 seasons. I'm looking at you, Mahoney. Like, we have a character on the police force that would have been fine in this role, and I think that would have been so much more compelling. But the show, for whatever reason, has deviated from everything that has happened in the Netflix show, and part of that has to do with the fact that they didn't want you to have to watch the first 3 seasons in order to watch this. They wanted it to kind of stand alone and be like a reboot of sorts. And I think that's a huge, huge miss and a mistake on their part, because you're leaving behind a lot of great characters. And Mahoney, while we didn't get a whole lot of him, he was interesting. He was intriguing. I liked his character. And to bring in this brand new character, Kim, for this one, I'm assuming this one episode. We haven't seen her before, and I don't know. No future spoilers for episode 6. Both episodes 5 and 6 released at the same time. So, I mean, is this a one-off episode with her? If so, huge miss. Or, maybe if you didn't want to bring him back for this series, how about you introduce a police character early on that can kind of work with Matt/Daredevil? I don't know, up to this point, that would be compelling. We would have reason to like and enjoy the stuff outside of the bank. But once it goes outside the bank, dude, I'm telling you, I really disliked it. It killed all the momentum of the episode for me. Like, those are just really big nitpicks for me. It doesn't ruin the episode. It's just like the episode could have been so much better had they just put more compelling characters outside of the bank. Like, even with Miss Marvel's dad, Yusuf Khan, like, we have gotten him before in a previous show. So, yeah, you do have to have that knowledge of Miss Marvel. But even if you haven't, which I didn't finish that show, I watched like the first couple episodes. Like, even if you don't have any knowledge of that show, I thought he was an intriguing and compelling character, especially with his introduction into this episode. And he just made it very easy to root for him. So I thought that was fine. But when they introduced this Detective Kim character, I'm like, yeah, that just fell completely flat for me. I do think that this kind of highlights a huge issue with Daredevil Born Again, and that is the show has really struggled with side characters outside of Matt and Wilson Fisk. You deviate from those 2 main characters, and you don't really have any intriguing side characters whatsoever. And I think that has been the biggest issue with the show. And while I still think that it is more interesting than season 2, I think that season 2 did much better with character development than what we have gotten so far in this season. So yeah, there are intriguing characters that we want more of. Heather is the main one. Like, I'm intrigued by her. I want more of her character, but we're not getting it whatsoever. And they keep bringing in other characters that we don't know. We can never really flesh out some of the main cast and really fall in love with them because they're just so hell-bent on giving us different characters every single episode. But yeah, I thought everything inside the bank was good. I thought it added a good bit of tension with those bank sequences. It was nice to see some action in the daylight for sure. And while it doesn't really develop any of the characters, it does kind of continue the storyline of Matt a little bit, with him slowly coming back into the mix of being Daredevil again. And then let's talk about the violence at the very end of this episode. Dude, let's fucking go, right? Like, he meets him in that alleyway and he just absolutely wrecks his shit. Now, one thing that I've noticed about Matt in some of his fight scenes is he is just absolute pure aggression. And while he had some of that in the previous 3 seasons, I felt like he was more calculated in a lot of his fights. This time, it just feels like he's a bull in a china shop. He is just trying to devastate people. And yeah, he's getting his ass beat at times. So I thought he was like losing the fight there for a little bit, and then he just absolutely wrecked this dude's leg. Did a judo kick to this dude's leg and absolutely devastated it. Really do enjoy the violence in this show. It's definitely come in spurts for so far this season, but when it does, that shit really, really hits, and I appreciate that for sure. To keep the violence up from the previous 3 seasons and then actually kind of elevate it a little bit. So overall, guys, I thought this episode was really good. I thought the interactions between Matt and Yusuf was absolutely fantastic, even though some of the humor kind of fell flat for me. And then Matt kind of standing up to the Irishman without his mask, it gives Matt something to do, not necessarily Daredevil. And I liked him kind of slowly weeding his way back into donning that mask once again. So overall, a good episode. It's a very much a different episode from anything that we've gotten before in this series. So I don't mind it, but at the end of the day, we have 9 episodes, and this feels a little bit of a deviation from a storyline that we haven't really fleshed out the best that they can. I'm speaking about Muse in general. Like, we've gone 5 episodes, we've seen Muse for all of like 10 seconds. So for a villain of the season, we really haven't developed that character or gotten much exposure of him so far this season, and that's one of my big complaints so far. But regardless, overall, I thought this little side adventure episode was pretty good overall, guys. So y'all let me know down in the comments below of what you thought about this episode. How do you feel about this bottle style episode where it's completely different from all the other episodes? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch y'all next time on another episode. Laters.